Church intro video. Church intro video.
Church intro video. Whoa, whoa.
404.
404.
404.
So we're super live.
We're not face live.
We're not face live, but we're audio live.
We're audio live. I don't know why we're doing the church intro video. No one knows we're going live.
Yeah, but the things that follow us on places, it'll alert them and they'll go, oh, they're live. I should go show up. Yeah. I've got like 5 minutes to get somewhere where I can show up. Because that's the 5-minute countdown. So, how's your day been today? Not this week, not since, how's your day today? Just today.
It's okay. Why?
To fill time during the intro video?
Oh, how are you?
I'm alright. Pretty good. I uninstalled, fiddled with, and reinstalled our porch light. Solar powered porch light. So that worked. That went out well. It's out there working and has an extra battery to supplement the battery that came with it that was woefully inadequate for keeping the light burning. It's got a motion sensor. Like, it only burns for like 120 seconds at a time. And I guess we get too much activity out there because it can't run long enough. Doesn't have enough power to keep going between the sun going down and the sun coming back up again.
I wonder if you got bats and stuff out there, so it's just constantly...
No, we definitely have bats. I mean, that's not even a question.
I put up a bat box and have yet to get a single bat. And I put the pheromones out. I did everything you're supposed to do, and I could never get one. That made me very sad.
So one thing they don't talk about that you could do is you can leave a bucket of water or a small pan of water and let the water get stagnant, so that mosquitoes lay their larvae in it, and then if there's any bats within like 5 to 10 miles, they'll come and they'll set up roosts nearby because there's a source of mosquitoes to feed them.
Yeah, no. But we have stagnant water because we have something right next to us. We're like...
These aren't
an eighth of a mile maybe from the one of the offshoot water things where there's of course stagnant water, and there's forests surrounding all of our neighborhood.
So it's not for lack of mosquitoes.
No.
It's not for lack of food.
No.
Rather, I should say.
It's probably just the amount of people in the small area and all that.
Or it's possible that your the nearby town has a bat program that's warding them off or capturing them. And
no, we definitely have them. Welcome, Vander. So we definitely have bats in the area. We just don't get them here.
Okay. Well, how much longer is left on that countdown?
A minute and 8 seconds.
Okay, cool. So tonight we're talking about Halloween.
We are.
Yeah, we're talking about Halloween. And then after we talk, then we'll probably reset the stream and do some gaming.
I think we will. I think we'll reset the stream directly after it goes straight into gaming. Yes.
Yeah, because we will have to reset it because we got to reset the title and we've got to cut it just down to Twitch. So we'll make sure we invite everybody to make sure they're on your Twitch channel for that, for when we continue on with the conversation later while we're gaming. New World, right? We're gonna play New World, not DCU, or what do you want to play tonight?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I don't know. We'll probably do New World. I'm not in the mood for DCU, and that's the other game we're playing right now with about 10 seconds left of our countdown. So
cool.
So yeah, just countdown. Just background music for 5 more seconds.
4, 3, 2, 1. I'm making up numbers because I can't see the
Well,
countdown.
the
I have
creepy
no
part
idea.
was it was perfectly synced.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was quite
Hello
creepy.
and welcome to Season 3, Episode 51 of the Berean Manifesto. Faith, hope, and love for the modern Christian. Tonight we're on a special night and a special time because we wanted to get in our live recording of our episode about Halloween before Halloween. And then I'll rush it into getting it to drop early with all the podcast services so that on Sunday it will already be out there and available for people to listen to. And if you're thinking this is going to be anti-Halloween, then you're obviously new to the Berean Manifesto. And if you think this is going to be pro-Halloween, then welcome home. You're my kind of folk. So here we go. Let's
Yes.
warm up a little bit because last time we tried to go in cold, and it wrecked everything. It was awful.
It worked well for about 20 minutes.
No, it wasn't even 20 minutes. It was.
Yeah, because you re-listened to it. I refused to even re-listen to it.
It was like 10 minutes. For 10 minutes, it was fine. And then it was only 35-minute actual content. For 10 minutes, it was fine. And the rest of it was just awful. It was just awful.
It was real bad. It was really bad.
So how's your week been, Pastor?
My week's been good. Been busy doing lots of everything.
Trick or treat.
I didn't do any trick or treating. The girls have been sick.
Trek.
Oh, Trek or Treat. Yes, we have been playing Trek or Treat in the Star Trek Fleet Command. Been very busy with that.
It's probably my favorite event all year.
It is.
With all the sharing and all the little candies and it's a lot of fun.
I will point out something hilarious though. That I just realized. You know, we have the service that takes the Twitch stuff when we're live here, and puts it over into the Restream bot that puts it into the Discord. And Vander, who's a friend of ours, well, friend of mine, you've met him. I don't know if you guys are friends technically, but a friend of mine, from Don't Worry About It, which is a gaming community, and just don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. When he first jumped in, he posted this cool squid thing, right? And Discord, it just...
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a squid. And in Discord, it just says squid 1, squid 2, squid 3, squid 4. Even though it's this tentacly squid.
There it is again. Squid 1, squid 2.
It just says squid 1, squid 2, squid 2. Because it's
Discord doesn't understand what you're saying.
Well, because it's a custom custom Twitch emoji as opposed to a world-renowned emoji. I just was clicking through my Discords to see if I had said we were live anywhere else that we should have that I didn't, and realized that I said squid, and that Vander said squid.
Squid.
I didn't in our off topic. That would be interesting to put it there.
Hey Zadie, welcome. Yep, special time, special night, surprise.
So here's my issue. I don't know whether Zadie's just that tired or a liar, because I told her, and Alexa announced it to the whole house. So I'm not sure.
Maybe she's just playing along.
No, Alexa, don't announce anything right now. Sorry, Alexa. Go back to night. Go night.
Announcing.
No, bye, Alexa. I have no idea what she's playing. No, Alexa, don't announce.
She's playing your words back to you. That's what you want to announce. Yeah, announce that, Alexa. Go ahead.
Alexa, no, go away. Thank you. So I have it set up to where my red light that turns on for recording announces that my mic is hot, and
Another red light. That would be my command to Alexa if I had a red light and I wanted to turn it on.
No, I can't say the command because obviously she's listening.
Alexa, turn on the red light.
Obviously she's listening, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it. But it turns on and turns off my light and does a little announcement that's funny. One says Noom's mic is hot, and the other one says there are no more hot mics here. Um, so it's
Sounds like your Alexa has a crush on your microphone.
she might. But
Noom's mic is hot.
Noom's mic is hot. So it's pretty good overall. The week was pretty good. Lots of Star Trek, as you mentioned. I honestly need to do a lot more because I am out of. Zadie thought we would just be recording a podcast. She did not know we were fully gonna go live. So I'm sorry I insulted her intelligence if she felt it that way, or I just figured she was sleepy because she's hurting today real bad with her back.
So. I've had a bad day today, pain-wise as well. We went to the library yesterday for a Dia de los Muertos cultural celebration at the public library. A little late for that, seeing as Dia de los Muertos was October 1st, but that's fine. You can celebrate a culture at any time. You know, we're within a month. That's cool.
There's definitely a lot of beliefs on a lot of things as I looked into it more today.
The kids painted these little sugar skulls and got to paint them, and learned how to make little flowers out of the tissue paper, and got face painted, and it was just just hang out and learn about some of the ways that culture celebrates this time of year. Hey, stop. I am live. Do me a favor and turn my AC on, please. You literally had to walk past the big red light to get in here. And then you came out announcing, turn on the AC.
Children are fun.
I need a real studio.
Children are fun.
Or even just, I need to install a door or something right here.
Well, my front door is actually that whole area, but luckily I'm not in the bedroom that has the only bathroom in my house. So,
right? Well, I had to turn the other bathroom into a nursery.
It was fully functional before that.
And I had to check out all the plumbing and redo the flooring, and
you did.
Yeah. So that was.
So how was your week?
My week. Well, I mean, there was the Dia de los Muertos celebration yesterday at the library. That was good. Before that, we did one live gaming with the pastors this week, and
we did. And I was not in a good mood the whole time. So I'm sorry for that.
Things did not go well for Nooms. He crashed and burned when we went into an instance that we were probably not really ready for, and then we got some help from some people who were way over ready for it, and so Nooms couldn't play the role he needed to play because the higher levels were pulling the aggro off of his character who's supposed to be pulling the aggro, and then the person who was supposed to be our healer was pulling aggro and having to defend herself instead of being able to focus on healing everybody. And so that didn't go well. And the rest of us finished it, but Nooms did not finish it because he died during the last boss battle.
Yes.
So then we had to run the whole instance again, which is fine. Got some great rewards.
Glad you did.
And got to play along, together some more. Why are you hanging out in here? I'm live. Go away.
Oh, the joys that'll get edited out in post. See, that's why you have to join us live, because if you join us live, you get to see all the bloopers that he edits out in post.
Right.
Like
bloopers. That's what we call them.
Yeah, bloopers. I got some good bloopers that I've saved that you edited out.
Oh, are we live?
Oh, are we live? Yes.
Yeah. So, had some fun with that, and then I got some more experience with playing playing with some video editing tools on my phone and trying to figure out some more of the video editing tools on my my Big Bertha computer and the puppetry tools, and getting back into doing graphic design stuff because it's been a while, and then learning that the newest Creative Suite from Adobe is
Different.
I wasn't going to use the word different. I
I
was
know.
searching for a clean word. I was going to settle on a step backwards as far as user friendly is concerned. Like,
Well, I don't know if I'll agree with you on that because here's the reason. If you are a new user, it might be more intuitive. You're coming at it from someone who's been away for many years, so there's been a couple of steps in between. So
it's true.
it might not necessarily be that it's less intuitive. Um, it is for you as a returning person, which I have to deal with in games a lot, but not necessarily software. But we all know how the ribbon worked out for Microsoft that they won't let go of, that everyone hates. So I feel your pain on that because we don't need a ribbon in every single Microsoft application, Microsoft, but that's what they feel. So
Okay,
I
then.
feel you on that one.
All
And we
right,
we
so
got into it about Microsoft today, actually,
we
because
did.
I started
And
yelling
I
and you took it personally.
wasn't
Because
defending Microsoft.
I know I just got yelly.
I was just being yelled at.
Yeah, you were.
And I was like, I don't disagree. I don't know why
Yeah.
you're coming at me so hard. I'm a third
So
disinterested party.
we're very open. We're very open with each other and other people, and I might or might not be off my medication for another week, um, because I'm in between insurances, and so I might or might not be of the right mental health at the moment. And we might or might not, over the last couple of weeks, fully proved how medicated Nooms actually needs to be. Um, so, you know what? I
We
just
definitely
realized
did all of those things.
I did not text my father. Zadie, text Biggs because Biggs doesn't know that we're live because he's not on any of the places that I just posted to. Um, which is why he isn't here to join us.
Alexa won't text Biggs for you?
I have not attached her to my phone because I don't need them communicating more than they already do.
Because you're not just a germaphobe. You're also a privacy phobe.
I used to be. I'll agree. I used to very much be worried about privacy, but conspiracy theory alert. Once they start putting chips onto the motherboards that you can't bypass, what does it matter?
Yeah, and
All
there's no
privacy
such
is
thing as
gone.
privacy anymore.
No.
If you have an electronic device in your home at all, you don't have privacy.
Yeah.
It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not happy about
just
it.
Not.
But
it's not something you can fight either.
Yeah.
Unless you want to live like you're in the Stone Age, and then I guess you could.
You could, but being the product manager of a software company would be very, very hard.
Working in software,
without technology around. Someone as smart as Vander could possibly still work in tech without having tech. I'm not that smart though. See, Vander, I shouted you out that many times.
This is my airdropped laptop that I built myself out of pieces that I mined myself from them hills right there. And when I'm done with my work, I mail it in, and then I build a new one.
It would take something like that, honestly. I mean, you'd have to be custom making your boards, but that's beside the point. We're not going to get into that conspiracy theory that not everyone agrees with.
Get to know the pastors.
I don't want to.
Yeah, you're gonna.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Nope.
What do you consider the most overrated virtue?
which group of virtues are we using? Are we doing like, you know, the biblical thoughts of virtues as the fruit of the spirit? Are we doing, you know, the opposite of the seven deadly sins? Are we doing what virtues are you thinking of going with here?
You have to answer for yourself, man.
Well, I need some context.
I don't have any. I
Oh.
read you the card. That's the context.
Mm.
Should I pull the next one? Is this one
No,
too hard?
no, you go for it. You answer, and then I'll think about it while you're answering.
I have no idea.
You have no idea. You're like, the virtues are all important. What do you mean underrated?
That's why I was like.
You're like.
The only thing I can think of is patience is a virtue, and I'm like, I don't think patience is overrated because, I mean, with the right amount of patience, there never would have been any world wars.
So,
So patience is not an overrated virtue.
No, I don't know. You're just stating ones that aren't. I only
listed one. It's the only one I can think of.
But I know, but mine is the one I can think of is love. You know,
love is a virtue.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what we're using as the
list.
list.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, just give another card. I hate your deck.
Yeah, you do. All right. You have $100,000.
Okay.
Half to donate or create a charity.
Easy. Next.
What do you do? You're like, we're doing it right now.
We're doing it right now. Like the camera, the camera that you're using, the computer that you're currently on, the book behind me that's research material right here. It all came from the charity that we founded to spread peace, hope, and love for Christians and bring people to them. Try again.
If you could instantly become one,
okay,
what would you want to be an expert in?
Well, I'm an expert in everything already. What's your point? No, okay, so if we're talking true expert, I would actually love to be an expert developer. Just bam and be an expert. I would love that because my brain does not fathom learning well, and I've struggled to learn more. Like, I understand the ideologies, but the actual programming languages are extremely hard for me with my dyslexia. My dyslexia, so I would like to be able to just be a coding expert and my fingers know how to do it and my brain process all of it correctly and be an expert in that field. Would be what I'd have to say. What about you?
I would like to be an expert in psychiatry, with a secondary minor in psychology and a focus in counseling.
I could see that.
That would be great.
I could definitely see you.
I would like that.
Doing those things.
You know how many people I could help with that skill set?
Yeah.
And people would actually listen to me because I'd be an expert. Well, I wouldn't say anything different than what I do right now.
Well.
But I'd be an expert.
See, that's a field that being an expert isn't always the best thing. Sometimes, I think.
Not always, but
because oftentimes people don't listen to experts in certain fields already. Like, you know, you should change this and you'll be better. You're like, screw you. I like how I am. So.
But the better doesn't taste as good.
Yeah. Never. So I didn't say dietitian because what's the use of knowing? Not gonna follow it. So okay, cool. I mean that works. Cool. That was a deep. Right. You know, third time was a charm with the questions. It works.
It did. It worked. All right. So if you are going to be looking up and following along scripturally tonight, then you're going to want to open up your Bible to Colossians Chapter 2.
Are you going to put them in the chat like you did? Oh. Okay.
Like that? Like I just hit it, enter, and then you ask the question?
No, no, that's not. That
So
didn't
we'll
happen.
be spending some time in Colossians chapter 2. We're going to talk a little bit about, we both did today research to refresh our memory about the history of Halloween and
Hmm.
the way different cultures look at Halloween. And so we'll be talking some about, what we looked at today, because we've both looked into Halloween a lot. Because it's one of those things, when you've got the church culture telling you no, 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 and you've got the rest of the world going yes, 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 yes. You need to make a decision for yourself, and we live Berean lifestyles. Before either of us could even put a title to what it was, we both believed in. Well, I gotta understand what I believe, so I gotta find out what I believe. So I gotta find research. I gotta find information. So
Now, I will say, in my past, I was more argumentative in it than I was. Um, I need growth, so I'm going to
no, yeah,
study
yours
and
was
um,
I'm gonna study to prove what I know to be right, so I have tools to shut down those people who believe something else, right? Something
I,
along those lines.
I mean, I wouldn't even say it was that soft. It was straight up. I want to prove you wrong, so I'm studying. I didn't even think about it from a standpoint of. Anyway, that's beside the point. No,
That's beside the point.
yeah.
That's
When
neither here
when
nor
you take your laptop with your concordances and Bibles to church with you to look up everything as the pastor's speaking, so you can argue as opposed to taking it home and thinking it through and processing it. It's probably the wrong route. Um,
there.
I had some really good services that way, though. Learned a lot other than when the man was speaking, but that's beside the point. Now we
Right.
do it the whole time of us researching while we're talking and before.
Okay. So we're in Colossians 2,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Paul, I'm gonna. I always think Paul writes every book of the New Testament, and 2/3 of the time I'm right. Get it? That's a joke. That's a Bible joke. If you don't understand that, go look up how many books of the Bible Paul wrote. Um, so Paul's writing to the Colossians, and he starts talking about, I wish I was there, but I'm not. But I know that you're rooted and grounded and established in faith. And I want you to be careful that um, no one takes you captive with philosophies of man and man made, how does he put it? Um, uh, Captive through philosophy and empty deceit. It's in verse 8. Based on human tradition, based on the elements of the world rather than Christ. And if you go back and you look at the cross references for this verse, Paul is specifically talking about the traditions and the things that the church was doing, and saying, well, we have to do X, Y, Z for it to be a quote unquote service. And if we're not doing that, then that's a sin. And that's specifically what he's talking about in this verse is don't get taken captive by this thought of, well, it's got to be a certain way, and because the church said it has to be a certain way. He wasn't even talking about the Gentiles at this point. He was just straight up talking about you're creating new things to do based off of what you've seen in the world. You've gone, well, they do it this way, so we're going to do it because they must be onto something. Don't get caught up in all that, because that's not based in Christ. That's based in the world. Um, and he goes on and on. He's encouraging them, and he's talking about, you died to the things of the flesh, and you're alive in Christ, and Christ died to. We're in verse 15 now. Disarm the rulers and authorities, and disgraced them publicly. Right? Christ triumphed over the rulers and authorities of this world. So then we pick up in verse 16, and this is where we're really going to focus in here. Starting in verse 16, Colossians chapter 2, verse 16. Therefore, don't let anyone judge you in regard to food and drink, or in the matter of a festival, or a new moon, or a Sabbath day. Now, in the King James, in verse 16 there, It's let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days. So that holy day and that festival, these could easily be holidays. The way we use the word in the modern tongue, these are holidays. Um, Verse 17, these are a shadow of what was to come. The substance is Christ. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let no one condemn you by delighting in ascetic practices and the worship of angels, claiming access to a visionary realm. Such people are inflated by empty notions of their unspiritual mind. Now, this ascetic practices, that's where you abstain from doing something because you believe by abstaining, it makes you holy. So he's saying, don't get caught up in these. Well, they're celebrating these holidays, and they're celebrating these holidays, and they're having a Sabbath on this day, and they're having the Sabbath on that day, and they're eating this food, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
eat that food, and they drink this, but they don't drink that. Don't get caught up in who's doing what. You do between you and God what's right for your relationship with God. If you're going to go out and celebrate a holiday, go out and celebrate the holiday and continue to be Christian. But celebrate the holiday if you're going to celebrate the holiday. Don't be the people who go, well, I don't celebrate Halloween because that's the devil's holiday. I'm sorry, but Paul's looking at you going, that very statement you just made, that is in an inflation of your empty notions of your unspiritual mind that you won't celebrate and put on a silly costume and go get free candy because you think you're too holy to have a family celebration.
I, I'm gonna say this is one of those situations where I actually like the KJV better.
Okay.
Puffed up by his fleshly mind.
Which verse was it? Get
18.
lost. 18.
Yeah, as opposed to
Let
empty
no man
notions.
beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility and worshiping of angels, intruding into those things which he hath not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind.
It's just more of a fun way of
Yeah.
saying inflated. Puffed up is such a better, you know, it's the same words, but
Yeah.
it's just more of a fun way of saying it sometimes. Um, something like thou art puffed up, so
Thou
sorry.
art
I
puffed up.
I got caught up. And also, I'm sorry that it appears Restream might be having a slight issue tonight. Um, my Twitch is saying that the bitrate is not great, but Restream is saying that the bitrate is perfect. So there might be some communication issues going on. So if you're experiencing those, I am very sorry. I've turned everything off just to try to fix it on our side, but I honestly think it very much is a uh, possibly a restream issue because
Between Restream and Twitch.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it says our bitrate is very, very bad.
Hmm.
And that the stream is unstable because the keyframe interval is too high. But
Okay.
that's
All right. So that's what I have in the scriptures. And you should definitely go back and read into all of that. All of Colossians chapter 2 is great. I'm thinking if I want to cover any more of these verses before we move on to the other things. Sure. I'm actually fond of this next piece of Colossians. Starting in verse 20, if you died with Christ to the elements of this world, why do you live as if you still belong to the world? Why do you submit to regulations? All right. At first, it sounded like Paul was saying, stay away from the world and get into the church. Don't be doing worldly things, be doing godly things. Then he says, why do you submit to regulations? Don't handle, don't taste, don't touch. Whoa, whoa, wait, wait, wait. That's not the world's regulations. Those are the church's regulations.
Well,
All these regulations refer to what is destined to perish by being used up. They're human commands and doctrines. Churches make doctrines, not the world. Although these have a reputation for wisdom by promoting self-made religion, false humility, and severe treatment of the body, they are not of any value in curbing self-indulgence.
yeah, and um, I think that's always been a big issue. We talk about a lot of, we've both seen a lot of people exit the church or turn their back on Christianity or turn their back on Christians before ever coming into the church just because of so often churches in and of themselves have created human commands and doctrines as opposed to just following um, the teachings of Christ and the teachings um, of the New Testament and the Old, the things that we're supposed to learn. So often we put rigidity around it, um, even more than is there. And I think that's a big issue in a lot of modern religions, because you'll see people talk about, well, I can't stand religion, and you're like, oh, I agree, because the religion isn't the key, it's the relationship. And so often, sadly, we've pushed people away from the relationships and the relationship building and the relationship with God and built around it human commands and doctrines, which is a good way of saying it. And I like, this is twice tonight, so I don't know whom King James had on Colossians, but they were on point.
Were they on point?
But it says human commands and doctrines, but then when you switch over to it's the commandments and doctrines of men. It's the same thought process, but just that difference of where they put the of.
Yeah.
um
And it's not like Paul is it's not like Paul is sitting outside of the church structure, pointing his finger at the church, judging the church. By the time he wrote Colossians, so Paul, he gets saved on the road to Damascus. It's another 5 to 10 years before he meets the apostles of the church and joins the church. Then he spends 18 years serving in the church, right, as a deacon. So he's not speaking from no experience. He's speaking from, I was in the thick of it for almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
And you can't create new doctrines, and you can't create traditions of men and call them the work of God. You can't deny certain things and go, oh, well, this makes me holy that I'm denying this, because that's not how that works. That's just vanity.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's sadly something that I think every religion, every government, every human, we have issues with that, of taking a good idea, taking a good thing, and then, oh, well, if I'm trying to do this, well, then I have to make it this over here also. You always, you look at...
So, yeah, go ahead.
Jesus' teachings even then. It's like, hey, when you pray, don't pray like a Pharisee. When you do this, don't do it like that. When you do this, don't do it like that. And then people are like, okay, cool, I agree, I shouldn't be like that. And then fast forward 5 to 10 years, they're like, oh, could you believe that Susie Joe did blah and blah? And you're like, wait a second. You shouldn't care what Susie Joe did, first off. And second off, don't pray about Susie Joe out loud in front of other people. Like, I'm glad I'm not Susie Joe, because you've you've pushed a line. We've all seen it
You
happen.
you have misunderstood the
Yeah,
assignment.
we we've all seen it
Yeah, I
happen
went there.
where
I
someone
went there.
takes their prayer list and makes it a weapon to a certain degree.
Right.
David did it. Even we can go back to the Old Testament. David was like, "I pray these people burn in hell forever." And you're like, "Whoa, David.
Oh, David, calm
David,
down.
David, David, no, calm down. First off, we pray they change. We pray they become
Some,
better."
Sometimes when I'm reading what David wrote, I'm like, dude, they really needed some antidepressant pharmacology. 'Cause I can relate to this energy. I can absolutely relate to this energy when I haven't been on my pills for a month or two.
Have you
That feeling.
experienced some recently as well? Do you feel attacked
You know what?
overall?
So, um, two of the two aspects that I admire about Buddhism is one, it is a loosely held religion, the way Christianity is supposed to be. There aren't a set pact of rules. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to do this. You have to do that. Right? There are strict cultural understandings in different parts of the world that are tied into Buddhism. That your family will hold you to a cultural standard, but there's no like, from the top down going. Well, you have to do this. You have to do that. Yeah, right. So I admire that because Christianity is supposed to be that way. You're supposed to own your own walk. And two, when they practice asceticism, right? When they practice, I'm depriving myself of this thing. They're not depriving themselves of that thing to make themselves better. They're not going, oh, well, it makes me a better person because I don't blah. They go, well, I'm not gonna blah because when I do, it makes me a worse person.
Mm.
So it's that flip of that idea, where we see in modern Christianity, they go, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm better than that. I'm a better person than doing that. And then in Buddhism, it's, well, I'm not going to do that because if I do that, it makes me less of a person. I can't be more of a person than I already am. I can't be better than I am, but I can remove those things that make me lesser than I am, right? And so I admire those two concepts of Buddhism, and as it applies to this idea, that it reminds me of those concepts. I want anybody saying I endorse Buddhism because obviously Christ is the way.
Well, and the Greek Orthodox Church, some of what there are certain aspects I really enjoy about the Greek Orthodox Church. Some I don't agree with, of course, as we have everything. But one of the things I really enjoy, and didn't know about this for years because, well, unless you're taught it, you're not going to, because they're not going to fully tell you, because the purpose of this, which is when they're fasting. Fasting is important if you're able to. Please don't fast if you're medically not able to, like myself. Don't try to kill yourself to fast just to say I fasted, because that's again not the purpose of any of this.
That's the opposite of what we're
Yeah,
going
the
for.
opposite of what we're talking about. So no matter how hard you think you have failed as a Christian, do not go out and try to fast if you can't. Not gonna help. Um, when they're fasting from something, they're not allowed to tell people. So like, we have a friend.
Per Jesus' instructions.
Yeah, we have a friend who, when they fast, we found out, me and another one of our other friends, found out the night we played D&D was one of the nights they were fasting a certain thing. Well, for years, when we would get together, um, we'd order pizza, and the pizza had meat on it, all the different kinds of meat, because at the time we're a bunch of people who tend to be nerdy, eat, we like pizza. And we would order, and it would come, and they would eat, and blah 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 blah. Fast forward a while, it was like one of the times it was his turn to do something. He was like, "Well, let's do this," and he slipped and was like, "'Cause there's no meat on it." And we were like, "Why don't you want meat?" Well, I technically am not supposed to partake of meat on this day because it's a day of fasting, and we fast meat. And we're like, but what? And so then it created a conundrum where he had to, go into the details of it, of like, okay, look, because all of a sudden those of us that are religious or respectful of other religions, you're like, you've made us make you bad. It's like, no. That's not how this works.
Mm-hmm.
It's a personal thing, so if you're offered something, you're supposed to still take it, because you're not supposed to announce, I'm fasting meat. And so then we changed what we would do. We weren't ordering chicken nuggies every time. We always ordered a cheese pizza. Then little things like that, because we knew at that point. But in that, I really loved that teaching of, hey, don't offend other people by saying, well, I'm so great because I'm fasting that right now and you're just not.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. Now, I'm not saying the entire Greek Orthodox Church walks in that way, but he did, and I always really applauded that.
So I had a Greek Orthodox in the car when I was driving for Uber once, and I was
Dying? Don't do that. No dying.
tried to breathe my coffee instead of swallowing it.
That's not going to work.
No, it's not. I had been studying about the tithe, and when we were meeting face to face in the Ecclesian house, we didn't take up an offering. This was part of my study, tithes and offerings. We weren't taking up an offering because I felt like it wasn't right. Like we were putting people on the spot and taking advantage of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then Discord says that I just told Zadie that there was something in the freezer. Chicken nuggies in the freezer. All right. And so I felt like we were taking advantage. And then I found the scripture where Paul calls it extortion to expect money when you show up on the spot for preaching. And so I internalized this personal belief and started to teach it as to our church. And we came to a stance of agreement in our church that we wouldn't take up an offering, that if somebody wanted to give, they could give. We'd have envelopes there, pens. If they wanted in private to drop something in an envelope, that was between them and God. We weren't going to ask. We weren't going to bring it up. And we were going to continue to pay for food for anyone who showed up every Sunday. And we did. And we never didn't have the money to pay. We got close. But we never didn't have the money to pay for food for everyone who showed up. And so I had this guy in the car. He was a young guy. He was Greek Orthodox. And so I was talking to him, and I don't go to a Greek Orthodox church. And so I was just wondering, is there a stance that they have? And so I asked him, so do you guys take up an offering during your services? And he said, what is that? What's an offering? And I was like, well, that answers the question, but let me explain. So in a Protestant and a evangelical and in these churches like this, every Sunday they pass around a basket or a bucket, or they do a mini sermon about God blessing you and you giving to the church, and then they pass it around and everyone puts their tithe in it, and they put their offerings in it, and then that money is for the church. And he got this really angry look on his face, and he said, those are heretics, and they need their churches burned down. And I said, wow, that's how you feel about it? And he said, no, that's the truth. A Greek Orthodox church would never put you on the spot and ask you for money. Our men and our women get together and volunteer their time to make crafts that we then go and sell to raise money for our churches. We volunteer our time. I don't ask people to volunteer their money. That's wrong. And I said, you know what? I agree. Not to the extent that you do. I don't think we should be burning down churches, but I agree that I don't, for me, believe it is the right thing for me as a pastor to get up and go, all right, if everyone will crack open their wallet to the tune of, like you do with the crap on it. Okay. Crack open your Bible. All right. So now we're off topic just a little bit.
Just a little. Halloween.
But that's fine. Halloween. Nooms, what did you find in your research that you wanted to, or get reminded of, or whatever that you might want to bring up?
Nope.
About history of Halloween.
Can't fidget with that while we're live on Twitch because they don't condone weapons on the stream. So
he pulls out his magic wand and yells Avada Kedavra.
No, this one isn't an actual magic wand because it has a trademark on it, and anything with a trademark I can't see it. Anything that Warner Brothers owns.
All right.
So nothing that I looked up today was different than what I really thought. One of the things that I was reminded of that I did enjoy was the fact that there's a lot of people that use a lot of different scriptures to say why you shouldn't celebrate Halloween. And it was really funny because I came across an article and it was like, here are the verses why you shouldn't celebrate Halloween. And it was like, you should not walk in darkness, you should be the light. And then the person was like, well...
Wait, can you say that again?
It was something like, don't walk in darkness, you should be the light, right? And then the person was like, that verse is taken out of context and here's why, and lists the reasons. And then it was like, one was like, do not suffer a witch to live. And they're like, is part of your collecting candy actually casting spells? Do you think that the knock on the door is you casting a magic spell to get candy? And it was very humorously written, and I was like, I like that. Do you think that trick or treat is an actual spell that gets you candy? I mean, it kind of works like a spell, but it's not. People just give it to you. It's amazing.
It's more akin to a threat than anything else.
It
not a spell.
Really is. It's extortion. It is extortion.
Going
back to what we were speaking of, it is extortion. Because the term trick or treat is you give me a treat or I will trick you. I mean, it is what it is. Now that goes back to different...
It's not as bad as the Christmas celebration of To Go a Caroling.
It is not. Would you like to speak to that one?
Sure. So the Christmas tradition of going caroling, going door to door singing songs. This tradition was originally the poor and the homeless would go door to door and sing songs. And when they got to the end of the song, you were expected to give them food, money, clothing, treats. And if you did not provide, then it was 100% legal for them to break into your house and drag you out into the street and beat the living poo out of you, and then go on to the next house and continue singing. It's this lovely tradition of Christmas caroling. It's beautiful. And for longer than Christmas has been recognized by the Catholic Church, the night of December 25th was long celebrated as a night of purge, where there were no laws. You could kill anyone you wanted, beat anyone up you wanted, do anything you wanted, and it was all encouraged in the name of Saturnalia. And these are the traditions that we then toned down and made into the supposed birthday of Jesus that doesn't match any description given in the biblical story of even the right time of year. Um, we're not even in the right season. Anyway, Halloween.
Well, and Halloween's roots are very interesting in that, a lot of people trace it back to one event or one specific aspect. Most people trace it back to um,
The Celts.
the Celts in the
Most people.
600 to 800s
Mm.
ish.
But there was a form of Halloween going back, recorded going back as far as the Egyptians.
Yeah.
In 3000 BCE.
Which I find to be interesting considering the difference of areas of those two people. I honestly think there are certain holidays that seasons are seasons, and people like to celebrate them.
So most of these Halloween celebrations that we see pop up in history, wherever they pop up, it's always this time of year, and it's always rooted around, well, the hot summertime is ending, and the cold, dark wintertime is coming, and so we're going to take time to remember how blessed we are and tell each other stories about how blessed the next year's going to be. And we're going to give each other candy. And we're going to expose our fears to each other and help each other overcome them. These are the traditional celebrations of Halloween.
Yes, some of them, for the majority of people, yes.
Yes.
Those
I was talking about majority, where it just pops up.
Yeah.
In cultures. This is the majority of what them are doing.
Then you have the fun ones.
Then you have the fun ones.
The pagans, certain pagan groups in the Britain Islands, the Celts, the Scottish, the Anglo-Saxons before the Romans came in and Romanized them more. They had some interesting beliefs around this time of year. And it evolved over time, but a lot of it has to do very similar to Day of the Dead, where you had people, the veils are thinner, is what the belief is, between the spiritual and the physical, and so because of that, in the certain Celtic aspects, the monsters would come out. And
not even, but not even October 31st.
Mm-mm.
It was November 1st.
Yeah.
Has always been the day that all those cultures believed the veil was thinnest, and was the day that the monsters came out, and was the day that all the evil stuff happened. And the day before was a day to celebrate and prepare yourself for that day.
Yep. So it's very interesting when you look at that kind of stuff. Is we have definitely altered what those beliefs were. Some of them in good ways and some of them in bad. We have the jack-o'-lanterns. Jack-o'-lanterns are fun. They used to be human fat candles as opposed to regular candles. Because, let's be honest, back then...
And they were never pumpkins.
Nope, they were not pumpkins until America.
And a certain story was written about a certain headless horseman.
Yep.
And then people started using pumpkins.
Well, and because the pumpkin was just a better jack-o'-lantern than the original jack-o'-lanterns.
It's greater.
It's
the original were gourds.
They're just gourds. And then all of a sudden someone was like, this pumpkin is such a better gourd. And so they started using it.
And it grows wild in this place.
Yeah, they're everywhere. So
just throw a rotten pumpkin out in your yard at the end of Halloween. Don't even bury it or anything. In spring, you'll have little vines of pumpkins.
Yeah, which is funny. I saw I can't remember whether it was Facebook or TikTok. It was just a single image, so I think it was Facebook. But it showed a dog that was super happy because the dog got into a pumpkin, and then the natural progression of what happens after a dog eats something happened. And so then under the trampoline that the kids played on, pumpkins started growing the next year. Because that's where the dog left the seeds. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that's... And so it's like, oh, look, I made pumpkins. And it shows like a little row of little pumpkins, and the dog's just happy because he made pumpkins.
He made
Um,
pumpkins.
and so it is always very interesting to look at how Halloween has progressed throughout the time. Now, for the reason I celebrate it, it's different than the reason you do. But the reason I
We'll talk
celebrate it
about
still
that.
is a bit, yes, just
we'll
a bit,
talk about it.
just a bit. The reason I celebrate it is twofold. One, what Halloween is in America today is not what it was. um,
Not even close to what any culture
yeah,
has
nowhere
celebrated
close.
it as.
I like costumes. I did drama when I was younger. I love makeup. I love costumes. And so I like dressing up in a costume, and this is the only time of year that it's culturally acceptable. Because if I was to roll around with bunny heads or other things, except in certain communities, it's not acceptable the rest of the year. Um, and so I love it for that reason. And I used to love candy. Um, I no longer love candy as much, but I used to love candy. And so in that, it's a time where you could dress up, run around, scare people, which is always fun, and get free candy. And it's amazing. Now, coming from the background I came from, we did Halloween a little, but we mainly did trunk or treats or fall festivals, which the
And
fall
there's nothing
festivals,
wrong with fall festivals and trunk or
nope,
treats, and
nothing wrong with them. And
nothing wrong with celebrating the
each
way you
other.
want to celebrate it.
Yep.
In a clean, family-friendly way. Nothing
Yep.
wrong with that.
Now, as long as you don't go the certain routes of things that don't just happen around Halloween, but happen around all times of year. Now, I will put out a PSA. You do have to be careful. Goth girls are awesome, but if you start dating one about a week before Halloween, you might want to check yourself, because goth girls are dangerous during Halloween because they will use you for candy. Um,
They can be dangerous.
no, I'm just joking. There's that funny meme of if you start dating a goth girl in October, she will sacrifice you, which let's be honest, most of you aren't worthy of sacrifice or dating, so it's fine. Don't worry about it. That was wrong of me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone out there. That was mean. That was very mean-spirited.
I mean, you're not wrong.
But I'm
yeah,
not
that was
wrong.
mean.
So that's the reason I celebrate Halloween. Is it's a time of celebration with family. It's just like any of the other holidays that I don't necessarily agree with. I don't agree with where most holidays actually come from because the church perverted pagan holidays for almost all of ours and changed them to be what they are. I mean, even the church's version of Halloween, we don't celebrate because most of us don't celebrate All Saints, All Souls, or All Hallows
on
Eve.
November 1st.
Yeah. And then All Souls Day on November 2nd, which is a celebration of the dead to certain people, the celebration of the dead that didn't get to rise.
Saints, right. Well, Saints Day is celebrating the saints.
Mm-hmm.
Souls Day is traditionally where you pray for the who died unsaved, and you could go buy the penance to change that future. It's the way the Catholic Church.
That's the way the Catholic Church rolls it.
That.
There's some other churches that celebrate it. That's a time to reflect on the souls that died in between that are still stuck in not purgatory, but in like Abraham's bosom, that whole thing before the end judgment, which is where the Catholic Church gets the idea of purgatory anyway, and they've expanded it over time, but it's neither here nor there.
Except Catholic purgatory is always negative. There is no cute, fuzzy Abraham's bosom Catholic purgatory.
I have heard it taught fuzzy sometimes. I think it depends on how they're trying to
Manipulate the audience?
explain their belief system.
No, no,
Um,
no, no. They're the whole
I
catechism setup is
I agree.
instrumentated around manipulation. It's not a time for teaching. They do teaching. They do a lot of great stuff, the Catholic Church. They invest in a lot of communities. They
Hmm.
have all the right religious things, but then they have it dressed in all this greed and pomp and fluff and dead religion. Um, but they're getting all the right things right. They're just doing all the wrong things too.
It definitely is true that they're, in my opinion, they are missing a lot. Um,
I don't think they're
yes.
missing anything.
Well, they're
I think they've added a lot of things that
they're missing the
don't need to
point.
be there.
They're missing the point. They're
In
missing the
in those
logic.
extra
They're yeah,
things, they're missing the point.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but I think overall, you know, any religion has issues and can be manipulated. Which
Well,
is
just
that whole thing of yeah,
the word religion
yeah.
is a manipulation. Just to start off with, what
That's what we
religion are? Well, that's a manipulative question. You've already manipulated the situation,
yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I really think that we have to focus on the relationship more than anything, because that's the important part.
and not just the relationship with God,
No,
because we talk about making disciples. It's all about the people relationships as well.
yep.
You know, it's not just hey, say this prayer and then you know go live your life. Don't bother me, kid. That's not what it's supposed to be. All right, so Halloween. For me, my celebration of Halloween is a celebration of the embodiment of the recognition that the darkness has been defeated. And it's a time to poke fun of, make mockery of, and just have a darn good old time at the darkness's expense. Watch scary movies from the comfort of my own home and laugh at how campy they are. Dress up my house in the iconography of skulls and bats and spider webs and things like this because it's hilarious that the darkness tries to use these everyday just ridiculous things to try to claim an edge over our souls. Go out on Halloween and get me some candy and take my kids to have candy and draw them close to me and instill in them that family time with brothers and sisters and mom and dad and extended family that you've made your own is important. That having fun with that group is important and it is worth investing in. And these are the things that I celebrate Halloween for. And we do things like this. We saw this little countdown to Halloween calendar that I have hanging in my little cubicle office thing here, with a little magnetic bat that you move every day as you get closer to Halloween. And we decorated the house, and the kids got to pick out Halloween costumes, and all because we're making light of and taking away the power of the darkness.
Hmm.
We're mocking it. We're not lifting it up. We're not praising it and giving it power. We're literally sending a message that it does not have power over our family. It has been defeated, and it is no more than our plaything. That when we're done with this season, we will throw in a box and store it away until we deem it time to pull it back out again. We are in control. The darkness has lost. God has won. Christ has been victorious. The devil's plans have been defeated before he even Sorry. Colloquialisms. Before it even made them, they were defeated. And that's that celebration. Now, growing up, um, I was raised in church, and we have the Hallelujah nights, I believe is what they called them when I was growing up. And we'd go and we'd play carnival games and get candy and, um, you know, and every year. And it was a good old time with candy and whatnot. And then in my teenage years, I got into, everybody has something that they were into before they actually committed themselves to Christ. In evangelical circles, we talk about, well, there's your seed moment, and then there's your commitment moment. There's that moment where you go down to the altar and you respond to the call, and then there's the time where you go, okay, well, actually, now I'm a Christian, and you own it. You own that life. And so I was raised in church, and then at 13, I got involved in witchcraft and Satan worship and just really, really, really dark things, the occult. And so 2 years, I celebrated 2 celebrations of this time of year in that culture. And so October 31st, hey, Biggs just got onto Discord. October 31st was this day where we would fast and we would contemplate and we would be silent and just prepare for November 1st. October 31st meant nothing to the satanic community that I was involved with. I can't speak for every culture in every country in every part of the world. I can only speak for what I experienced. And for us, October 31st was nothing. There were no incantations or spells or anything that needed to be done or could be done or would be done. It was looked down upon. It was encouraged that you didn't do anything on October 31st. And then at midnight, that marked the end of October 31st for you and the beginning of November 1st. That's when everything would kick off. And then November 1st was actually a celebration of the day that Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And so it's the, this dark holiday where we would celebrate the fall of man. And yeah, that's the day that all the stuff that you are afraid of that you think people are doing on October 31st, that's what they're doing on November 1st. And not just at night. It's during the day, it's during the night, it's all over the world. So it's like a 46-hour time period is what it constitutes a full day on the earth,
like
a
that.
calendar
Yep.
day. Yeah. So it's it's happening while you're celebrating Halloween, getting candy. In another part of the world, they're celebrating November 1st in satanic circles. And I see a lot of stuff, people making videos, and I have to cringe and bite my tongue. But I see a lot of people talking about, watch out for them witches. They're going to take your kids and sacrifice them to Satan and da-da-da. And I really just want to be like, you've confused the worshipers of Satan with the worshipers of Moloch. Moloch is the owl demon, who's actually not a demon. He's a fallen angel. He's the owl fallen angel that declares that you need to sacrifice children to him. Lucifer isn't interested in child sacrifice. Baal is. Moloch is. Baal's not really operating anymore. Moloch is now. But you've gotten things a little confused there. But Satanists don't want to sacrifice your children. They want to recruit your children. They want to come into their bedrooms when you aren't spending time with them and haven't invested time with them, and tell them lies about you, that you don't love them and that you don't care for them and that you won't even let them go get candy and things like that, and try to recruit them. That's what Satanists want. But that's neither here nor there. So there are people, celebrating this time of the year for dark deeds, not necessarily on Halloween. I mean, it's pretty much right there in the name. It's a holy day. It's set apart. It's sanctified. It's everyone agrees on both sides of the line. Angelic, fallen angels, demons, spiritual creatures, God, Lucifer, everyone agrees that's a holy day, except for evangelicals. Everyone except for evangelicals sees October 31st as a holy day. I kind of like what the Lutherans do, and they just have like a festival and hang out, and what's it called? Reformation Day. They have Reformation Day.
Reformation
That's fun.
Day. Okay.
Yeah, that's fun, and it's just an excuse to have a festival. And so the kids still get candy, and they still get to dress up, and and this is what we should be doing as followers of Christ. We should be looking at what our kids are admiring of the world, and we should go, hey, you know what? Let me do you one better. We're going to also not just have candy. We're going to have games. We're going to have prizes. We're going to have cake and pizza, and we're going to have a lot of fun with our family because we value you. It's not that we don't want you to have a good time. It's that we want to offer you a better time. That's what the church should be doing with Halloween. And that's how I feel about that.
I can't disagree.
Well, you could, but you don't want to right now. You're really good at playing devil's advocate, even when you don't agree with what you're saying. So you could disagree.
I mean, I always could disagree, like you said. But I don't need to hurt either one of our feelings again today by pushing too far on things I don't or do agree on.
I love you.
I love you.
All right.
I'm sorry I was yelling about Microsoft. I was not actually mad at you. You just said a trigger phrase. I'm sorry I yelled.
You're good. You're good. We've got a lot of water under this bridge. So.
And lots of dead horses we have continued to beat way past their expiration date.
These poor horses. Okay, so this podcast is brought to you by the Ecclesian House. You can go check us out on ekk.house, and there you can find out what Twitch, what Facebook, and what YouTube we publish to. We record these podcasts live, usually on Sunday nights, but Sunday is Halloween. And if you've been listening in this episode of this podcast, then you know, for me and for Nooms, that's a family holiday. That's the time we're going to be spending with our family. And so we didn't want to record a live podcast on that day. We wanted to invest time in our family.
Yes.
So we recorded it tonight. And so here we are. Tonight being Friday, October 29th is when we recorded this instead of on a Sunday. And this podcast is coming out early simply because of the fact that I wanted it to be available for people on Halloween morning. And then obviously November 1st. For them to listen to and be educated about as they head into this holiday weekend. Now, normally this podcast comes out on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, anywhere that you get your podcasts. Now, if you wanted to join us live on a Sunday night when we record this at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, you can go to ekk.house to find out which Twitch, which Facebook, and which YouTube we are live on. And like we've talked about earlier in the podcast, when you type into the chat client in those streaming services, it does show up for us across posts so we can see it. And then we have our own Discord server if you'd like to reach out to us about how to get invited to our server so you can be a part of the chat there if you'd rather there instead of Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube. Pastor Nooms' Twitch is twitch.tv/Pastor
Nooms. It's very hard.
Very hard to remember.
Very.
And when we're done here in just a couple minutes, we're actually going to queue up over there. We'll end this stream, and then we'll kick up a new stream over there, and we'll be doing some gaming with the pastors, a time where we hang out and we talk and we play games. And you can go on to Pastor Nooms' Twitch and chat with us, ask questions, and hang out with us while we play games. Tonight, we think we're playing New World, right?
I think so.
What are you grinning about over there?
I keep picking up the knife to play with it, knowing we're not supposed to pick up knives on Twitch.
Your little bitty knife?
Yeah, my little knife that starts with a K that I can't remember correctly. That's a belt knife, but yes.
Knife.
No,
all
it's
right.
not.
You weren't talking about the word knife starting with a K. You were talking about the company of the knife starting with a K.
No, it's a style.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
And I can't remember off my top of my head because it's a foreign language, and we all know how I am with foreign languages. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we love you guys. I hope you have a great week.
Be safe out there.
There you go. And until next time. 30-second buffer. 30-second buffer.
30-second buffer.
Has it been 30 seconds yet?
No.
That's not how time works.
30-second buffer. 30-second buffer. 30-second buffer.
We're done.
Goodbye.
Turn the thing off.
Goodbye.